stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Have a seat. Move on with roll call.
All right, Ronald Knuff, are you here?
Present.
Kenneth Hall,
I'm here.
Bonnie Allman,
Here.
Trevor Stone,
Here.
Ronald Glassick,
Here.
Judith Haldeman,
Here.
Jason Donahue,
Here.
Mason Smolinak,
Here.
Julia Kutzler,
Here.
Mayor Anthony Pristash.
Present.
Next, we move on to approval of the minutes of the public workshop meeting held on December 7th, 2023, and the regular public meeting held on December 21st. What's the
I make a motion to approve the minutes of both.
motion made by Mrs. Almond? Do I have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Hall? Any questions? No questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we'll move on to hearing of persons present. If you'd like to have a comment, come forth to the microphone. State your name and address for the record.
Joshua Zellers.
What was this, sir?
Joshua Zellers. This mic or that mic?
That mic, sir.
Joshua Zellers, 343. Joshua Zellers, 343 Granger Road, Northampton, PA. I just have a couple questions. That's why I come down. I have classic wings, flies and guide service for doing fly fishing. And the ramp down here on Canal Street is closed, okay, for launching boats on the river. I talked to about 15 of my different friends that run guiding business all over the continental United States. They opposed that you could open it, but put like a signage up for dumping and all that other stuff. But the biggest problem is what's hurting the community around here when it comes to fishing. You're losing bait shops. You had 5, you're down to 2, okay? I'm trying to do a business. I pay my Habitat for Humanity tax, sales tax, all that stuff. So I'm actually trying to create a business to help more income come in the state of Pennsylvania. The Lehigh is known for excellent walleye, excellent brown trout, brooks, all that stuff. So if you put a time limit on the ramp from 7 in the morning to 7 at night, because drift boats cannot be on the water during the night because they do not have lights. They need navigational lights, according to Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission. So if we can work together in a way of opening the ramp, first start with signage. And if the signage don't work, put a camera up. When you catch people dumping, littering, loitering, fine them. Make them pay. You know, you got 5 people, make an example out of them. Sorry to say it, you want to get results, it's going to work. 5 people got to suffer in the meantime, so be it. It's going to help us in the long run because, like me, that's an avid fisherman, an avid hunter, we feel like we're getting our rights stripped because we're not able to gain access where we used to fish. I mean, I floated from there all the way down to the boat club. That's about 14 miles of navigable river, okay? That's a lot of revenue that you're losing because I know of 5 guides that only go from Jim Thorpe to Pomeranian. They would love to come down this way, but they know there's more opportunities down this way. So is there a way that we can maybe work together on this endeavor? You know, and trying to benefit the town, but also benefit the fishermen and bring in more revenue for us? I mean, that's all I ask.
We thank you for your comments, and we will take this under consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No one else? on to the President's report. That right here. Okay. For my President's report, I'd like to say in your packets today or on the table, there were committee assignments. Please review these assignments and let me know if you're okay with the designated positions. If you're not okay, I'm sure that we can work something out. Each councilman, with the exception of one, got 2 assignments. Next I'd like to have a shout out to our Public Works. They've been under a lot of stress with the snow and ice for the past couple of weeks. They're working with shortage of manpower, and the long hours and the dedication to the borough doesn't go unnoticed. And we thank their families for being very patient with them serving the community. I also would like to thank the administrative staff for stepping up. They've had a lot of calls coming in, and with road and snow conditions and ice condition, and working short-staffed, they've been under a lot of pressure. So it makes me very proud that we come together as a team and that they work together. It's second to none. Also, not for comment at this time, but I'm interested in knowing the status of the progress of the water issue on 5th Street, 386 and 384 East 5th Street. I spoke of a roundtable discussion with all parties involved on how we could get the situation resolved between the homeowners, Public Works, and NBMA. And I surely hope we're not kicking the can down the road. What are we doing with that? So if you would respond with your comments at the end. But we'd like to know, are we doing anything? Can anything be done? How can we let these folks know that we've taken care of them or we're doing our very best? Tonight, our Public Works Director, Mr. Greg Morey, has submitted his resignation letter. We'll be working with that. We will miss him and the dedication that he has had to Public Works for many years. And we want to thank him for his service to the borough. And we sure hope Mr. Morey enjoys his retirement. And I think that's all I have for my President's report. Mayor's report?
Thank you. As our last reorganization meeting was very punctual, there was little time for kudos and congratulations along the way, so I do want to start by congratulating Councilwoman Kritzler on her re-election to Council President. Well deserved, well earned. To Councilman Glassick as Vice President, and Councilman Haldeman as President Pro Temp. And to Mr. Knopf for joining this esteemed group here to build a better Northampton, as I like to say. If you get the Northampton Press, you may have seen last week that I wrote my January article laying out my initiatives as your mayor and what I'd like to accomplish from my office. But I want to let you know, too, that I fully do not plan on acting in a vacuum, and that we've always had a great teamwork together, and many great ideas come from this panel right here, which helps to fuel my initiatives and to give me the energy to really look forward to some of the projects we're doing. So I look forward to that, and to our viewing audience, if you don't get the Northampton Press, you can always read my article on our website and get caught up in that respect. But I'm very proud to be serving with this council here, and I look forward to many, many great things in this upcoming year. Hope is a great thing, and I know that everyone here is to serve Northampton. It's a selfless job, and I've worked with these people for a while now, and their time and their dedication to building a better Northampton is never more obvious than seeing them work here and when they get in and about town. So Thank you, everyone, again, and congratulations for all of your reappointments. And hopefully 2024 will be a year which we will gladly remember as epic for all that we have developed and brought to this town. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to solicitors report.
Other than to welcome the newest member of council and say that I look to a good year ahead working with all of you, I have nothing at this time.
Well, thank you. Reports from committees. We will start with Mr. Ken Hall on administration and finance.
Thank you. Council President Julia Kutzer has prepared a listing of the committee assignments. Our bookkeeper, Mary Ellen Hamlin, has been out recently on an extended medical leave. During her absence, Bernadette Singh and the aid of Megan Case managed to prepare the first payroll of 2024. Mr. Brooks holds him in the highest regard. As of Friday, January 12th, 2024, we received $229,405 in garbage payments. And a report.
Thank you. Building, Land, and Recreation, Ms. Judy Haldeman.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks has spoken with Rec Center Director Jason Kramus, and Jason does want to increase the daily rates for non-residents to $20. That's the daily rate, to $20 per day. This was overlooked when Mr. Brooks prepared the resolution setting the fees for 2024. Mr. Brooks is asking for council's directive to make it an agenda item for our next council meeting. End of report.
End of report. Thank you. Code and Police,
Yes,
Mr.
thank you.
Trevor Stone.
Thank you. The rental registration forms have been mailed, and to date, we have received a total of $2,075 in registration fees. A meeting was held with Mayor Pistache, Chief Cadingo, and Mr. Brooks, and to discuss the policy for establishing conditions that warrant a snow emergency. As far as Northampton Borough Police Department, they've had, in the for the total year of 2023, they had 6,712 dispatches, 1,923 incident reports filed, and 195 accident investigations completed. And a report.
Thank you. Fire and Health, Ms. Bonnie Almond.
Thank you. The Board of Health will meet on Tuesday, January 30th at 7 p.m. The utility truck budgeted for the fire department has been ordered. Mr. Brooks plans to use the fire tax money to pay for it. End of report.
And Public Works and Sewer, Mr. Glassick.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks' opinion of our Public Works Department did a fine job with the most recent snowstorm episode. He had several people tell him that they knew they were in Northampton because of the streets were cleared. I'd like to continue with that, in fact, that we have young workers, we have a lot of hours, as the Madam President said. I thought they did an outstanding job and tried to work down there, and I know we have another one on our horizon. It was discovered that there was a sewer line on Railroad Street between West 14th Street and West 15th Street that had collapsed, and the crew has been very diligent in replacing these lines and making all the lateral connections. End the report.
Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business. Do we have any?
Can I ask a question? Would that be unfinished business that we ask that to be put on the agenda for the next meeting, that we address the increased rate for the,
Yes, I've
Okay.
spoken to the solicitor, and what we would need to do is make the change in the resolution,
okay,
and then that resolution will be adopted, and it would replace the one that was adopted at the reorganizational meeting.
okay.
Okay.
That was my fault. When I went through, I thought I had everything and I missed that. And it's just non-residents, not residents.
It says
I-
residents and not.
Yeah, but he told me to take it out. I knew it wasn't typed
Yeah,
out.
residents will stay the way they're listed currently in the
Okay, yeah,
resolution.
that changes a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion for that?
So, and we can do
Okay.
it at this time?
You can.
Okay, so then I make the motion that we, do exactly what you said.
Whatever you said.
Whatever Leroy said, that we change the resolution to address the new rate that was erroneously mistaken.
You can consider a new resolution.
That's
Consider new
good.
resolution.
I like
There
it.
you go.
We have a motion on the floor to revisit the resolution for the rec center.
I second it.
Second by Ms. Arman. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to new business. Consider the approval of the fire department summer camp.
Last year, the fire department conducted their first summer camp under the able direction of Barry France. They are seeking approval to conduct a similar camp this year from July 8th to July 12th, 2024.
Is there a motion for this approval?
I make a motion for the approval. It absolutely needs to happen.
Second.
Second, motion made by Ms. Almond, second by Mr. Glassick. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, consider the request for a handicap parking space.
A resident in the area of 726 Main Street is seeking approval for a handicap parking place. Police Chief Brian Kadingo has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
Do I have a motion for this approval?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Donahue. Do you have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Glassick. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Consider the request for a handicap parking space.
Similarly, a resident in the area of 1813 Lincoln Avenue is seeking approval for a handicap parking space. The chief has also reviewed this application and recommends approval.
Make a motion to approve as recommended by the chief.
Motion made by Mr. Glassick. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Donahue. Do I have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Consider the reappointment to the zoning hearing board.
At the time of the reorganization meeting on January 2nd, 2024, Robert Soldridge had not yet submitted his application for reappointment to the zoning hearing board. We have received a letter from him requesting reappointment for another 3-year term. His new term would expire on December 31st, 2026.
What is the opinion of this council?
Motion to approve reappointment of Robert Soldridge.
Motion made by Mr. Stone. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
By Mr. Hall. Question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Consider reappointment to the Board of Health.
At the reorganization meeting, we had errantly reappointed Carrie Hirschman to the Board of Health. However, her term will not expire until December 31st, 2024. The term of Bernadette Klisseritz is the one that has expired, and she is seeking reappointment to a 5-year term that will expire on December 31st, 2028.
What is the opinion of this council?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Stone. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who has it down there?
Mr. Canal.
Mr. Knopf? Do I have a question?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mrs. Almond.
So as I'm reading this, the term of Bernadette is expiring December 31st of 2023. We have a letter saying that she is requesting reappointment, but it's signed by Carrie Hirschman.
That's what threw us off. We saw the signature and we didn't,
So
usually when somebody sends us a letter with their signature on it, they're the ones seeking the term.
do we accept this though? If Bernadette's the one that's requesting reappointment, it should be signed by Bernadette.
Well, we spoke with both of them and they are satisfied that this would work.
Okay.
It's sufficient. It's from Bernadette, sincerely Bernadette, signed by Carrie Hirschman as secretary.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Consider request for the Geofence training.
Wait a sec, time out. I
Number
gotta catch up.
6.
There
I
we go.
move fast.
I know you do, you must be in a hurry.
Yeah, no.
Okay, here we go. Police Chief Brian Kadingo is seeking permission to have Detectives Joseph Kiska and Matthew Benikoff attend a course to provide the skills to conduct geofence investigations. A geofence is a virtual boundary created around a location using Google Geofence and cellular tower dump technology. The course will be held in Newton, Pennsylvania on Thursday, February 15th, 2024. The cost for each of the detectives is $250.
What is the opinion of council?
Make a motion.
By Ms. Haldeman, motion made.
Second.
Second by Mr. Donahue. Question?
Question to the
Uh,
chief. Could you put this in a little bit more understanding terms? And what is it really doing?
Without getting too far into it, geofence technology is basically the use of cell phones, Wi-Fi, routers,
Okay.
internet, is to be able to track things
Okay.
upon proper search warrant application, et cetera.
Okay,
It's very helpful for some of the stuff we've been having recently.
okay. Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Consider requests for multiple training courses for Officer Joseph Britt.
Police Chief Brian Kadingo has submitted a listing of 6 one-day training classes at the Northeast Forensic Training Center in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. First class is on February 21st, 2024, and the last class is on June 5th, 2024, and the sole officer attending would be Joseph Britt. The total cost for the 6 classes is $675.
And what is the opinion of council?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Stone. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got 3 seconds down there. By Ms. Almond. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Consider retirement request.
We have received a retirement request from Public Works Superintendent Gregory Morey. It is his desire to retire on May 3rd, 2024. He has served the borough admirably and will be missed.
And what is the opinion of council?
I make a motion to accept, but with a great deal of sadness. Greg has worked for 43 years for Leroy? 43?
It's one of the new guys.
It's some,
One of the new
it's some,
guys.
it's some ridiculously,
Yeah, he
Crazy.
has been here for quite some time.
yeah, and has, I have got to know Greg even more so, having been on council. I grew up with Greg, and he's a good guy. He deserves a good retirement, but I am sure he's going to be difficult to replace. But I make the motion.
Motion made by Ms. Haldeman. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Knopf. Any questions?
Question.
By Mr. Glassick. Go ahead.
I would request that we ask Mr. Maury if he would please be heavily involved in his replacement. And as chairman of the Public Works and Sewer, I'd like to have a meeting on a monthly basis with him until he officially is retired. Can that be done?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to reports from council members, I will start with Mr. Hall.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks, do you get any update on the light at 21st in Maine, that's been vacated since at least
What can I tell you?
December a year ago or so, because it's probably 2 years that we didn't put decorations, Christmas decorations up on that. Missing no word.
No, nothing. And I know Brian has been in contact with them on several occasions, reminding them of the replacing.
Okay. And I guess I can start making a list. We're going out to the replacement of the water boxes and their curb and sidewalk replacement in the area of where water boxes are. We gotta get on getting these dead poles out of the different areas. I mean, you go down every street, and every street has one pole that's been hit with an accident, and you took it, and the old one's sitting beside of the new one. I guess it's double thing that if it gets hit the second time, at least there's 2 chances that it won't get knocked over, but they gotta start taking these and getting the concrete and stuff replaced as well. I don't know who follows up on that. I mean, I don't know if it's anything that the borough has to do, but somebody should be doing that and getting some of those yanked out of there and replaced. I know it falls on the utilities. It's just like the dead ears that you're falling on with getting the pole replaced, moved to the right side of the curb down on
West
Alley.
Alley.
You know, I know you're kicking the dead horse, but you know that we're gonna be coming up with the weed situation, and everything else growing up in the curb lines, and the mayor constantly talks about beautifying the neighborhood or whatever, but all these dead and it's not just this community. You come down to Cement Hill, there's 3 of them probably coming down. It's everywhere, but maybe we can be the trendsetter and maybe get somebody on their butts and off their butts and get some of these poles yanked out of there and corrected. So, that's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Stone?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to thank Brian Wesco and Greg Morey, the rest of Public Works for taking care of a tree at 401 McKeever, and the swiftness that it was done. It was finished up today, so thank you. I share Councilwoman Alderman's sentiments about Greg Morey retirement. It's bittersweet and happy for him to retire, but he's certainly going to be missed. Me and my family will miss him as I'm sure the rest of the community will miss him. He will be hard to replace for sure. I'm sure we've researched this, but is there any research on pre-treating roads before snow? Have we figured out what the cost would be, what it would take to do that kind of thing?
I can honestly say I did not. All I know is I have to get a tank truck and a saline solution.
So is that something that we'd be able to rent or lease, or
we'd probably
to purchase it?
We probably would be better served to purchase it, but they're not.
It seems that some of the other boroughs and townships that pre-treat the roads are a little bit better, at least at the start of a storm, until the plows have a chance to get out there and do their work.
I can try and get some numbers for you.
Okay, yeah, that'd be greatly appreciated. I think that's all I have in the report.
Thank you. Ms. Haldeman?
I have a question in regard to the development down by CVS. That over the weekend, they had dumpsters parked out on the street. Did we come to any agreement with them in terms of
Yeah, we told them to move them.
Okay, so, because it was interesting, they were there over the weekend. I think by Tuesday, they were gone. But I'm just curious if they are utilizing the weekend when we might not have the attentiveness to those streets and taking, I want to be careful, but taking advantage of the, the kind of lack of manpower to watch that. Because again, that is parking for the people that live in that area, but it's also now a much more traveled street. While it was an alley at one time, many people use that, as a more active street. So it just seems not super safe to have those things there. But again, on the weekend, I guess the question would be, what can be done? So if I would see it happen again, would it be something where we could approach them during the week to discuss that it should not be happening? Okay.
If you remember, they had requested,
Yes.
using a portion of West Alley to
Yes.
store building materials, and we told them no, and they put it there anyhow, and then we
Addressed it,
revisited
yes, yes.
them.
And they do seem, again, not to call people out who can't represent themselves, they do have quite a bit of material off the road, kind of on property up, that I'm sure is legit. I just was a little disappointed to see 2 dumpsters on that street last weekend. So that was my question. Again, I just wanted to thank Public Works again too. I thought that they did, great. They were on the snow, the plows were coming through, where I live. So thank you for that. And again, while we have a few months to go before we say goodbye to Greg, finally, again, yeah, it's gonna be tough. There's a good staff that he's got there, but he will be hard to replace, and I hope he knows that we all feel that way about him. Thank you. End of my report.
Ms. Almond?
Thank you. So I've been approached by more than one person about the railroad at 10th and Main and how dangerous it's becoming for drivers when the train is passing through. There are no signals, there's no lights, there's no safety there. I'm told that this one person almost hit the train right at the very last minute, inches from the train. He lived 2 blocks away, and he had to pull his car over to the side of the road to compose himself to make it the next 2 blocks home. That's how close it was. The other person told me, who works second shift and comes through there between 11 and 11:30 each night. Sometimes there's a conductor with a light. Sometimes there's a flare. Most times it is just dark. There is nothing to let you know. And the train is black itself. And I don't believe the lighting there is very good that you can see the train until the last minute. So I don't think it's the borough's issue. It might be the railroad who's responsible for the safety, but is there a way that we can contact someone on the railroad and have them put some safety there?
I think that crossing belongs to Horwith.
So can someone contact Horwith about this issue? For the safety of
When I was a
others?
kid, I lived in a hotel that was at that intersection, 10th and Main Street. And the train traffic then was much more, it happened a whole lot more. And they always had somebody there with a flare. Because when they threw the flares off to the side, my buddies and I would go and gather them up, and then we save them and take them somewhere and play with them. I think there used to be a railroad crossing, a wooden sign there, the
It's
X.
still there.
Is it?
Yeah, I saw it, but it's black.
We can put a letter together and send it to them and suggest that perhaps they at least have someone there with a flare or a light in every opportunity.
Okay.
I would appreciate that more than the sound of the train when it's blaring. Like last night came through at midnight.
What?
And it was blaring.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The
They
sound
toot the
was
horn.
blaring. So, you can hear it for miles, for sure, but yeah.
Well,
if they-
imagine trying to go to
they would
sleep
need
and
to-
living right there.
Right, yeah, they would need to install a trip plate or something to activate a flashing
Yeah,
light.
I believe he's correct. They were for a long time, they always had somebody there with a flare.
Right.
And I've gotten numerous complaints as well, and being down by the fire station, whatever, they've been running and they just come across, they hit the horn and they just go across. 9 times out of 10, there's not somebody like they used to. They're entirely correct on that.
All right, I'll put a letter together,
Okay, thank you.
letter together.
And then the only other thing I had, Mr. Broke, this might be for you, just asking what the status of the hiring for the road crew and the sewer department is.
I had a telephone call today from Mike Adams. If you remember him, he's the one that went to become a priest. Well, he has had a change of heart, and he is coming in to talk to me on Tuesday of next week. I think he would be an excellent addition because he's already worked there. He already has some of the training in hand for the certification as an operator. I had spoken with President Kutzler about getting together with the chairman of the Public Works Committee, and I already have candidates not lined up, but we have applications for people for the road crew. It's a matter of scheduling opportunities to sit down and talk with them.
Thank you. End of my report.
So when would you be doing this? When you get with Mr. Glassy?
We can pick out some times after the meeting, times that he would be available,
Okay,
and I'd like you to sit in on that also, if
Okay.
possible, either Greg or at least the crew chief, and Brian, myself, and the candidate.
so Public Works Committee, me, and who else?
Well, the chairman would be enough if the entire committee would want to sit in on it. That
Okay,
I would not be, of course, I would not be opposed to that, but it's a
Okay.
matter of scheduling, you know, to get enough people together at times that are convenient for everybody, including the candidate.
I'm available every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Thank you. Mr. Donahue?
Thank you. I just have a few things here. I'd like to give a thanks to the Public Works for the great job they did on the streets. I mean, I know what they go through. I do the same thing, different municipality though, but it's long hours, tiring some, but get it done. Speaking of the snow that's coming, I just want to refresh everybody's mind that the sidewalk should be shoveled within 24 hours after the snowstorm, unless you want to be visited by the police department. If you have a fire hydrant on your property, you are responsible to clean it 30 inches around the fire hydrant. And another thing, don't throw no snow out in the street. That is also illegal. And that's the end of my report.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Glassick?
Thank you. Leroy, just a note that the stop sign at Howardtown Road and 10th Street, the one that has the flashing lights going east, is not working right now. And again, the one on the coming into town does. It's just the one going out of town. Thank you for bringing that up, Councilman, about the snow removal and the 24 hours. I know we didn't have snowstorms in the last 2 years. It seems like we have our third coming tonight or tomorrow. And there is a lot of areas that we talked to the police already and Public Works about making sure people that do own the house, if landlord, if it's not in the lease, that they have the responsibility to clean that within 24 hours, because people do want to walk out on the sidewalks and make sure that they're done. Another thing I would like to ask about is on the reports, could we ask Mr. Welsko if he could at least report on the amount of streaming being viewed and the amount of reports on at least on a monthly basis, that we could see how many people are still using it? I know it was as high as 70 people last time, and I'd like to see if that's continuing on. Madam President, you asked about the comments on 4th and 5th Street. Both Councilman Stone and myself went over there shortly after that. We've had extensive rain right after that. I have not heard anything. There was a water thing that was fixed, but it was not the cause, it was not to believe to be the cause of the water coming down there at that significant amount. And since the water has been, with that rain, I haven't heard anything about it. Mr. Stone, have you?
No, not since
Okay.
we were there, no.
There was a couple different things that we looked at. The drain that's in the backyard, it did not fall on deaf ears, because we were both over there shortly after that. But Mr. Brooks, did you send any letter to them or contact them with anything?
We were waiting to hear from them. When I heard that the water company had made a repair up in the area of 5th and Pearl Street, I was expecting, if they were having a continuing problem, that they would let us know. I have not heard from them.
Well, the repair was such a minor, like it would be a thing of a mist of a shower coming out compared to like a water main break, that I can't believe that much water would have went into a basement
No,
on a mist.
I'm not faulting that.
So that's what I'm
It's
trying
just
to
that-
say. And the amount of rain that we had that time was extensive, and that's what I believe could have caused it, because there is like as we said, a water drain or sewer drain in their backyard. And we looked at that. We didn't open it up or anything like that. We didn't have the tools to do that. But just as long as a follow-up letter to them and ask them what they're doing.
Okay, I know Jerry Sorensitz had reached out to them.
He did?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, can I get that report then?
sure.
Thank you, I would like to see that. Again, sorry to hear about Greg, but as I said, the Public Works and Sewer, I'd like to have a meeting in February. We can put some of those dates on the calendar. But with Greg on a monthly basis until he retires, would definitely be using some of his knowledge and expertise, and maybe even longer after he retires, we could keep him involved in our borough since he's gonna still be living here. I guess the last thing I said, what I'd like to talk about is, can we use, without getting charged from the solicitor, but the power of using, I say that seriously, because I know every time we write a letter or something like that, it's gonna cost us money. But we have made several attempts to contact PPL about sidewalks that they busted apart and never replaced. It falls on deaf ears for that. It's fallen on deaf ears about the poles trying to get repaired or at least removed. I think we start using the news media to our advantage and maybe contacting 69 News and saying, you know, can you help us get a hold of the railroad or get a hold of PPL? And I think when they start seeing their name out there, because they're in the news for overbilling people, and I'm not trying to make a bad rap with PPL, I'm just trying to say we need to get things at least followed up on. And we have people calling for probably the last 6 to 7 months for a sidewalk that they still can't come out and fix.
581.
Yes, and if we finally get a letter or go to the news and have them maybe make a comment on it or something on their news watch, maybe people will start listening to us, that we're not, you know, we're not just talking and asking for questions. And if it has to come that we have to get a letter from a solicitor, we will do that. But at this time, no, we don't want another bill.
Understood.
So,
Just to correct, if I can add, and I don't want to be not that we're saying PPL, it's some poles are Bell Telephone, some are, so I mean, it's it's the utilities in general. So I'm not saying that most of them
Right.
probably are Bell.
well, all
I'm
the
just-
utilities that went up anywhere from
Clarification.
all the utilities that went up 20 to 30% over the last 2 to 3 years.
Understood.
So we should understand that they should still have the ability to service the municipalities that they're in.
They're all the same.
So, that's all I'm just saying, that we should.
Well, Verizon, they're all,
Really,
there are some Bell
You're
telephones
dating
out
yourself,
there.
you're dating yourself.
They
Don't
aren't
tell-
old out there.
End of my report.
Thank you,
Oh, I
Mr.
believe you.
Vlasic. And thank you for checking on 384, 386. Appreciate that. Mr. Canal?
Oh, yeah, I had a borough resident that lives at 127 Stark Street. His name is Jerry Onishak. Requests to have a stop sign installed at the corner of Poplar and Stark Street, coming from 17th Street.
Okay. It's a little more than putting up a stop sign, Mr. Knupp, so,
I'm sure it's, got to have a traffic report and all that,
yeah,
but he's bringing it up for the safety of children.
absolutely. Understand.
And also, some borough residents that I seen on the walk path along the river would like the snow cleared after the snowfall. Which, it's kind of hard to do.
It's
Shall we let the streets go and clear the
Yeah,
DLL
right,
trail?
that's exactly what I told him.
We could do alleys first, which
When
we,
they're walking, they can just take a shovel.
we do the alleys, didn't get the streets and then
Right.
the canal, okay? I think we could probably look into the stop sign at
Well, the
Poplar
chief
and
would
Stark.
probably be best, it would be best served to have the chief do a study there. That would be southbound on Poplar Street at Stark Street.
Right.
Got that, chief? Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Knapp?
Oh, I think we have a small problem with the tracks and both sides, Northampton, Main Street and Newport, dumping their products down on the track bed. From the old footbridge that they took down to the train station here. It's a mess. I don't know if there's any dumping signs on the alley there behind the residence.
Okay. We actually did have some groups that were going out there and picking up the trash.
And also-
Unfortunately, where that is, I don't know that signs would help, but why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, one other thing, Gasper's Coal Yard,
I don't know, but yeah.
down by the mill, the old mill, Mauser
yeah.
Mill, at the end of through the underpass,
Okay,
to the left, you have the mill,
right,
and then you have Gasper's Coal Yard.
okay.
Would that be considered a salvage yard? Because he has all his equipment in front there, which is blocking view when you come around the turn. People come around that turn and you're swerving. And like, if there's a fire, it's only one way in and no exit around the building.
Got that.
And I mean, them vehicles been parked there for years.
Yeah. Yes.
I believe that building's for sale right now. If I understood.
What was that?
I believe that building's for sale right now. I don't know where it stands. Is it occupied even? Because when they came in to do the brewery,
Oh,
remember,
1249 Newport.
he came to look at that building and stepped upon that building. So, so ultimately, I thought it was in the sale process. I don't know where it's at.
Yeah, if he would buy it, that would get all cleaned up.
Is that
So I
a,
remember he said he was coming to look at that building and went to that and then stumbled upon, and that's where he got that property. But he never said any further as to if he was proceeding.
Oh, I gotta have the code officer take a look at the vehicles. If they're uninspected, unregistered, or inoperable, then they don't belong there.
right,
I made a note of it here.
did you? Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Glassing. I mean, Mr. Glassing. I'm looking at Ron.
Two Rons.
I got two Rons together. We can't have two Rons, two Judys. It's
I'm not changing my name
confusing. And then I
again.
look at Ron. Thank you, Mr. Knapp.
Okay, that's all I have.
And Mason.
Once again, we're moving ahead with the Hometown Heroes project. We're trying to get as many calls as we can and templates out, and we're hoping just to keep the progression up with it. With each meeting, we're trying to get more speed with it, and we're really trying to move these ahead. And just going back to one of the calls we actually made to our own councilwoman, Ms. Alderman. So I was hoping that brought up some fond memories for you.
Sure did, yeah.
But with that, we're hoping to get some templates out soon. That'll be all then.
That's it?
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Moving on to announcements. Mr. Brooks.
I remember when Greg first started working for the borough, he was hired to work on the garbage truck. And when we went out of the garbage business, he got put on the sweeper. And he was still running the sweeper when I was pulled out of the mud and brought into the office, and he's still there, but now he's in charge. And I have always valued his opinion. We go back a long way. We spend more time, I think, talking about the old days and the old ways than we do about what's going on now. And I'm not saying the old days and the old ways were best, but they seem to be a whole lot more fun. He will be missed. A big thank you to the Public Works people. They put in a lot of hours and they really did, I think, a fine job. We did get a couple of calls about snow being pushed up on the sidewalks, and I wonder where it came from before it went from the street to the sidewalks, because it really wasn't all that much. I would like to look in some people's yards and see how much is piled up there. A big thank you to Bernadette and Megan with Mary Ellen being out. She'll be back in next week, but only half days. Not only did they do the first payroll, they did the AP. That will get approved as soon as I shut up. And they really did a good job. it's refreshing to get somebody out of their element and watch them work their way through and come out a winner. So, God bless them. I'd be lost without them. That's all.
That's it.
You know.
Thank you. I need a motion by a council member to pay the bills.
I need to say something like the balance of my time given back to you or something like that.
That's his
He's
job.
not.
I yield back the balance of my time.
I didn't have it down, so you take it over, Trevor. There you go.
Well, next week,
I hear it in my sleep.
I'll just kick you under the table.
wait, I have to wait for Mr. Glassick.
Oh,
He
I'm
wants to say,
Have his
do you have
questions?
anything else to
Did you
say?
get approval to pay him first?
No, you
Motion to
had some
approve.
extra time.
He said you got a motion here.
Motion to pay the bills.
Motion to pay the bills by Mr. Stone,
I'll second it.
by Mr. Donahue. Question?
Questions?
Go ahead.
Leroy, AJ Transu for the sewer, is that for that line that was broke?
Yes.
And what was he here for, that we didn't, for concrete, or what was he here for to fix it?
No, we bought crushcrete from him. That's what we used to backfill the trench.
Okay,
That, we still have 20 feet to go, and if the weather doesn't cooperate, the line is flowing, but it's not complete yet. We wanted to go manhole to manhole, that way it's all plastic pipe, we don't have to worry about it.
okay. On page 2, I did ask this earlier in the year that we start looking at contracts and making sure that we rebid contracts out and ask for better pricing. Frazier Advanced Information Services, 2 toners for almost $1,300, and then there are other toner and cartridges, another $600, so we're almost up to $2,000 from Frazier for the month of January.
We have an agreement with them, they take care of all of our printers.
Definitely taking care of us.
Well, yeah, I have a little concern with them, and I will address it with their representative.
Yeah, there's a couple still printer, copier companies out there that we can maybe try to get another price
I
for
can
them.
buy the stuff cheaper from Quill.
Yeah, exactly. Or Amazon, or go down to Staples and get a contract. Okay, next one would be, maybe that's it. Someone's understanding, partner law. Oh, the cell phones, I didn't see them on before. What are we paying these cell phones? The one was a 523, 440. What were those cell phones for? 'Cause we did not agree to pay for cell phones for the contract. On the last page, page 7.
Oh, no, that would, the total is on page 6,
Okay,
$1,299.99.
for Verizon.
Yeah, that's, all the cell phones are with Verizon. That, $8,000, that's sludge.
I know that. I meant the cell phones. I thought the guys have their own cell phones. Whose cell phones are these?
These are, well, I have one, Brian has one, the chief of police has one, both detectives have one, the animal control officer has one, Scott Gillespie has one, Kathy Lindemoyer has one, who else?
Me.
Oh yeah, the mayor has one. Some of those numbers are cumulative. The 523, those are for all of the police cell phones. 523 and 440, the bulk of that is the police.
All right, thank you. No more questions.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. I need a motion by council member to
Motion
adjourn
to
the meeting.
adjourn.
By Mr. Hall. Second by
Second.
Ms. Arman. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned.